So Jay Opetaia has decided to vacate his IBF World Cruiserweight title and go ahead with his fight against Ellis Zorro on this big Saudi card on Saturday. And his reasoning for doing this is that the money is just too much to turn down. Now, Ellis Zorro, no disrespect to the guy, is a really poor opponent for a voluntary defense. Really poor. You want a world champion to be picking people that are actually in the top 10 and preferably towards upper echelons of the top 10. And Ellis Zorro is neither of those things in the IBF rankings. It's a poor opponent for Jay Opetaia to be fighting, but to be fair to him, he did try to fight his previous mandatory, Richard Riakporhe, who turned it down. He's an unbeaten guy, big puncher. Jay Opetaia was happy to go ahead with that bout. And he's also happy to go ahead with a bout against a guy he's already beaten in Myris Breedis, who was his new mandatory. Now, Myris Breedis had apparently given the blessing to Jay Opetaia to fight Ellis Zorro in what amounts to a tune-up in Saudi Arabia, because Myris Breedis, due to injuries or whatever, won't be ready until February or March next year anyway. It's only the IBF who are not willing to sanction the bout. Let me know what you guys think of the IBF's decision to stand 10 toes down on this particular issue. Should they have given Jay Opetaia some leniency here, or are they right to put their foot down and say, no, this opponent is not good enough, and you're supposed to be fighting Myris Breedis next. We can't allow anything to jeopardize the fight, when it will happen, etc., etc. So yeah, there are mitigating circumstances here in the minds of some people, because Jay Opetaia hasn't made the kind of money that, let's say, an Anthony Joshua has made when he was champion, or Tyson Fury, even Alexander Usyk. He's never made life-changing money. So when someone puts life-changing money in front of you and says, here you go, life-changing money or the belt, what are you going to do? You've never been paid this kind of cash before. You've never seen a check this big. It's prize fighting at the end of the day. Do you take it and at least then elevate yourself and set yourself and your family up for life? Or do you say, no, I'm going to hold on to the IBF belt and I'm going to trust the process and trust my ability that I will get one of these big paydays at some point down the line? I mean, when Richard Riakporhe has turned you down, that could have been a pretty big payday for him. Myris Breedis rematch, I mean, Jay Opetaia knows how much you got paid for the first fight. He would be the A side for the rematch, but he doesn't come from a massive boxing country. I know Australian boxing is in the ascendancy at the moment, but they're not doing the kind of pay-per-view figures, obviously, because the population of Australia is a lot smaller than the UK, much, much smaller than America and so on. So they can't generate the kind of revenue in that market that they can generate in other markets. So maybe Jay Opetaia is thinking, where will a big payday come from, if not here? Because the cruiserweight division isn't exactly star-studded at this point. We don't have the World Boxing Super Series, which the Sauerlands were previously involved in. That was paying fighters an awful lot of money in the cruiserweight division. That's not on at the moment. So again, maybe Opetaia's thinking, I'm not going to get this kind of payday fighting any of the other champions, any of the top contenders who I'm willing to fight anyway. How can I turn this down? Let me know how you guys feel about it in the comment section below.